So that's what they did. They literally pushed a camel off the side of the boat. He landed in the water, rolled over onto his stomach, and then just paddled himself to shore.
Hello, we are back on the road.
Surprise, surprise.
Early this morning because it was pelting down with rain just outside of Eucla here, and we were kind of, where we were was a bit...
The gravels are in the dust.
Yeah.
And so when you get a little bit of water with the dust, it just becomes very slimy and sticks to your boots, so...
We also didn't want to get bogged, depending on how much rain came down.
That's right, that's right. So we were off the gravel. There was gravel. We'll show you some drone footage here in a bit.
I'll put a screenshot of the wiki camp there as well.
And yeah, there was gravel areas, but last night we probably didn't read the forecast and see that it was going to rain today, so we parked down the back, away from the road. Beautiful little spot down there. But yes, it was on the dust, so it got boggy this morning, so we got out of there. We're out at 7 o'clock, 15 degrees on the Nullarbor. Would you believe? That's why Michelle's got her bloody coat on.
So I got my rain jacket on. So we have now left Eucla, which is the easternmost town in WA, and I believe the population is possibly around 35 to 50 people. So pretty small, sleepy little town. And we stopped off at the Eucla motel yesterday. That's where we fueled up. And we've learnt the story of the infamous Nullarbor Nymph. Now, the story of the Nullarbor Nymph started the way all good Australian tall stories do, and that was at the pub back in 1971. Now, the Nullarbor Nymph was an orchestrated hoax, a publicity stunt, designed to put the sleepy town of Eucla back on the map and draw in the tourists. And the mastermind behind this plan was a man by the name of Jeff Pearce, a public relations guy who offered up the idea to the owner of the Eucla motel to compensate for his unpaid motel bill. So over a few skewies at the bar, Jeff,
my name is Jeff,
teams up with a couple of local kangaroo shooters, and somehow a partner of one of the kangaroo shooters is convinced to be photographed as the Nullarbor Nymph, wearing only a few kangaroo skins. So shockingly, this plan works brilliantly, and after a few alleged sightings of the Nullarbor Nymph and a story in one of the local newspapers, soon journalists and camera crews flock into the area, and Eucla receives both national and international attention.
Don't forget, this is the 70s. No internet, no quick way to get news overseas, so
yeah,
pretty impressive.
And henceforth, the legend of the Nullarbor Nymph was firmly cemented in Australian folklore. So, pretty wild story. Now we're, as we said, we're back on the road. It's about 20 minutes to the Mundrabilla Roadhouse. Now there is another Nullarbor Links golf hole there, but depending on what the weather's doing at the time, Ben might not get a lot of golf in today. We might have to get these golf holes on the way back east in about a month. But yeah, we'll see you at the next stop.
Another glorious day for golf.
I bought my glove, otherwise this club would be slipping in the rain.
So, par 3, only 125, only a little one.
Okay, so we're back on the road heading to Cocklebiddy. We're going to get there in about a half hour, and the rain has finally stopped and we can see a little bit of blue sky peeking out there, so hopefully the sun's not far behind. Get a bit more sunlight on those solar panels. So we think we've finally got our heads around the time zone changes
I haven't.
We've got through. So in South Australia, when we were at Border Village, we were on Australian Central Standard Time. So as we crossed the border into Eucla, we moved into Australian Central Western Standard Time. So we had to put our clocks back 45 minutes. And now as we get into Cocklebiddy, we'll cross yet another time zone, which will be Australian Western Standard Time. So again, we'll put our clocks back another 45 minutes. Thankfully, once we hit Cocklebiddy, Australian Western Standard Time, we're going to remain in that time zone for the remainder of our travel through WA, which will make things a little bit simpler. And all up, we are 3 hours behind the time zone back home, which is the Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time.
But it would revert back to 2 hours if they weren't in Daylight Savings Time. So that'll be Australian Eastern
My
Standard
brain hurts. So yeah, we think we got that covered because we were super confused yesterday, weren't we?
Every clock we looked at was different. One thing that I will add, because I can hear you all at home screaming at the TV, Ben, you idiot, tell her about the phones automatically update. Now I hear you, but there was an issue and I've gotten to the bottom of it. So what we do is each of our phones was set up slightly different. One of ours was set to automatically adjust the time based on the cell tower, so the cell, whichever cell tower it was connected to. One of them was doing that. The other phone was set to be corrected by the phone's location. The one that was using the location was actually working correctly, but the one that was using the cell towers was buggering up, and I think it's because we're connected to the Starlink on the dashboard here, and I think it was confusing itself as to whether it was in Adelaide, Eucla, Perth, Darwin. I don't know where my phone thought it was, but it was always out. So just something to note. Have a look in your, assuming iPhone has the same setting, but in your Android there's a setting, either use your phone location or the cell tower, and my suggestion is to use the phone location. That fixed our phones and watches.
All right. Everybody got that?
You heard it here first. Stop screaming at the TV. It's all good.
Okay, we'll see you in Cocklebiddy.
So right now there is a hell of a crosswind. What does it look good? Oh! So we've got Samantha and Bruce. Samantha has one eye, and she had a tangle with a truck in 2012, and Bruce had a collision with a car in 2015. Can you see one with one eye?
I think one of the top's close. Because the other one is looking at us from both sides.
So both these wedge-tailed eagles were saved by the Cocklebiddy Roadhouse employees, and they were sent to wildlife hospitals for patching up. But because Samantha only has one eye, she obviously won't be able to hunt and feed herself, and because Bruce has a broken wing, he actually can't fly. So the decision was made for them to be well taken care of here at the Cocklebiddy Roadhouse, and so they've become a little bit of a tourist attraction.
Lifting his arms up, wings up.
So the rain's set back in. We had a bit of a stop at Kaiguna hoping that it would clear, but it didn't. It's just fairly steadily been falling for the last hour. So we've just hit the famous 90 miles straight, which is between Kaiguna and Balladonia. And that is 146.6 kilometers if we're measuring in metric. And it is Australia's longest straight stretch of road, and one of the longest in the world. Now, a quick Google search tells me that the longest is probably in Saudi Arabia, where there's a stretch of Highway 10 that is 240 kilometers, or if we're measuring imperial, 149 miles long. So look, I could be wrong, so if I am, comment below. We're after the world's longest straight stretch of road. We've got some podcasts lined up now, so we will see you on the other side. Good morning.
What are you talking about?
We are back on the road. We stopped at a free camp last night. This was more of an established, more of an official free camp, wasn't it? With some of the, would you call them amenities available?
Shitters.
The name of the camp was
Woorlba. Put the thing on the thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a screenshot. We're not entirely sure how to pronounce that. Yeah, toilets available, dump point available, bins available, picnic tables available. So yeah, probably one of the better free camps we've stayed on this trip east to west across the Nullarbor. Heaps of folks rolling in last night, weren't there? So again, our previous 2 free camps, we'd had not a single soul with us. So it was probably 8 to 10 vans there last night.
Yeah, room for 100 though.
Oh yeah, and yeah, pretty good camp. Really no complaints about it at all. We're about 15 minutes away from Balladonia and nearing the end of the famous 90-mile straight. All right, we'll see you at Balladonia.
Ciao.
Oh my gosh.
We're turning.
We're turning.
Yeah,
I can barely keep in the line.
Road after visiting the Balladonia Hotel Motel, which has a small museum, not much bigger than your living room, and it covers the history of the local area. And one of the highlights for us was the memorabilia of America's first research or experimental space station, Skylab, which unexpectedly plummeted to Earth in July 1979. Now, while some of the largest pieces or fragments of the space station thankfully fell into the Indian Ocean, one was estimated to be around 77 tonne, a lot of space debris was scattered across the state of WA, including the town of Esperance, and across the Nullarbor Plain to Balladonia. So the little town of Balladonia and Australia became the focus of the world's attention for a time, with reporters from both Australia and America flocking into Balladonia to report on the incident. And interestingly, a day after Skylab fell, the Balladonia Roadhouse got a call from the American president himself, Jimmy Carter, to extend his apologies for the station crashing into the Australian Outback, and to offer US-American assistance for any damages caused.
Just a point of clarification, when Skylab fell, there was no one on it. It was abandoned.
Yeah, they'd essentially finished their work in it, and it was expected to be in orbit for another 8 to 10 years, but obviously that didn't occur.
One thing before we go that I read that was very funny. When they were building the area around here, they used camels because they last a lot longer in the arid climate. And so they ordered a whole lot of camels from Afghanistan, I think it was, and they had to bring them in, and there was no wharf down here at the ocean, so they had to park the ship off the ocean. No one on board had seen a camel or used a camel before, so they all looked at each other and went, "Can camels swim? How are we going to get them to the beach?" They had no other means, so one of them said, "Let's just push one off the side of the ship and see what happens." So that's what they did. They literally pushed a camel off the side of the boat. He landed in the water, rolled over onto his stomach, and then just paddled himself to shore. So they were like, "Oh, okay, cool. We can get him off without them dying." So how's that? I don't know what they would have done if he didn't swim. It's a long way.
Maybe that's the origin of the famous saying, getting thrown into the deep end.
Jeez. Anyway,
Alright.
just imagine that decision. Just throw one over the edge. We'll
See what happens.
See you.
Alright, we'll see you in Norseman. We're here at Norseman's tin camels that were created by a Western Australian artist, and they're made out of corrugated iron. And I think they're life size. I think they're life size. So the sculptures are a tribute to the camel trains that carried freight and mail to the town in the early days of the settlement. And an interesting fact is that because the camel trains had to turn around, that is the reason that the streets in Norseman are so wide. Well guys, we made it. Oof. So despite its very best efforts, we have successfully completed the Nullarbor. We've stared down the horizon and emerged on the other side. Not completely unscathed.
Slightly scathed.
But pretty happy nonetheless. So we're here in Norseman, whose very existence was built on gold. Legend has it that Laurie Sinclair's horse, called Norseman, scraped the ground with his hoof and uncovered the very first gold nugget back in 1894. And it also led to the discovery of one of the richest quartz reefs in Australia, and I believe it's yielded something in the realm of 100 tons of the precious metal since the late 19th century. So behind us here, Norseman has been honoured in a life-size bronze statue.
Oh, I thought it was taxidermied. I thought it was him.
Oh God, that would be a bit morbid. So we're going to wrap this video up here, guys. So if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to keep up with all our Aussie adventures. Now, of course, our current adventure doesn't stop here. So tune in next week when we head further north into the golden heart of Kalgoorlie. And we plan to discover some of the fascinating history of the iconic mining town, and we might even be able to peek behind the velvet curtain of Kalgoorlie's famous Hay Street. So if you know, you know. See you guys.